Hi guys. So today I wanted to talk about your speaking exam and how you might score highly on part one. So this is the smaller section of the speaking exam, the first part you're going to talk about, and it will typically be a general introduction with your examiner. And there are definitely a few techniques and tips you can learn to really improve your band score with this question. So, to begin, there are lots of different topics you could be asked about. You could be asked about friends, family, food, but in general, it will typically be something quite personal to you. So, something that you will be aware of. It could even be things fairly random like perfume, sleep, recycling, but all things that you should know about yourself. And really, it'll be about how well you can convey these more basic things about yourself in English. And so you'll have 4 to 5 minutes for this first part of the speaking exam and about 10 questions. So you want to talk for about 30 seconds for each question you get asked because you want to keep the answers flowing and make sure that your examiner can keep asking you more questions. And so to begin, the first question they'll typically ask you is, well, they'll ask you your name first of all, but then they're going to ask you either where you live or what you do. So you're going to be talking about either your hometown, your home, or whether you're a student, where you work. So you want to keep your answers relatively short, concise, but you also want to kind of explain things in enough detail. So you want to add a little bit of detail, but not too much that it becomes a paragraph. So, for example, here I've written, I'm currently working for Merseyside Publishing and have been here for a couple of months or so. So I'm quite informal with my answer here. I've said for a couple of months. I've not said 2 months. I've been a bit more informal with my language. I've said or so. And, if someone's asking you for an interview purpose, what do you do? You might be a bit less informal. So you can see here how I've adapted to the demands of the task. It's an informal conversation. That's what your speaking exam is. So use these informal turns of phrase. Say or so a couple of months. And here I've given a little bit of information. I've said where I'm working currently. So I've answered the question, but then I've given a little bit extra. I've said I have been here for a couple of months. So I've also used a different tense and just really kept my answer short, but a little bit interesting as well, given some more information. And they're going to keep asking you some follow-up questions to this. So, like I said, there's about 10 questions. So if I'm asked, what do I do currently? I say, I could say I'm a student, I could say I work, and then they're going to ask you more questions about that. So, for instance, they could go on and they could say, what are you studying right now? I could say, I'm currently studying towards my master's in social research, having just finished my BA in English language. So, as you can see, again, I've answered their question, gave a tiny little bit of extra information just to kind of bump your grade up a little bit. And then they've gone on and asked me, why did you choose this course? And I've said, I'm particularly interested in society and how it works. And so I want to explore this in a more academic kind of context and just make sure you're kind of just answering the questions they're asking you, because they're testing you on if you understand the question and if you can think of a response quickly. So answer their question, because that's what they're looking for. If I said something completely different, they say, what are you studying right now? And I said, in school, I really enjoyed maths. And so, I just loved maths. It's kind of relevant to studying, but it's not relevant to the exact question. And so your examiner's going to think that you've, not properly understood the question, even though you might have, So really make sure that you answer his question or her question. And they're going to keep giving you these follow-up questions. So you're going to want to make sure that you have lots to say. And so, you know what you're talking about, basically. So answering the question, it's quite important you are relaxed, informal, engaging with the demands of the task. So for example, here are 2 answers we could give to this question. How much sleep do you get? Which is one of the topics that has came up on past papers. How much sleep do you get? It's a very kind of personal thing. It's related to your experience, which is what this whole section is about, relating something to your own experience. So, for example, sleep is a crucially important endeavor for the human race. We as a species, that should be species, we as a species must strive for greater prioritization of sleep. So this is, good English, but it's very formal, very academic. And so it doesn't really flow in speech too well. It would be a good answer for your written work. But with speech, you want to be more relaxed. And so you can say, I always aim for 8 hours of sleep, but sometimes I only get 5 or 6. So you can see the difference between these two is that the second answer has spoken about their direct personal experience, and that's something that they're looking for. This first answer has spoken about sleep quite generally, and so while it's good English and it's really good in what it's saying about sleep, it's not answering how much sleep do you get. They're not wanting a kind of abstract, complex, analytical answer about sleep. They want to find out how much sleep you get. So you can say, keep it light, keep it informal. I always aim for 8 hours of sleep, but sometimes I only get 4 or 5 or 5 or 6. It's something that I'm trying to work on at the moment. So you can see how I'm trying to get these elements of vocab that we've dealt with in the classes. So I'm trying to get in these phrasal verbs, work on at the moment. And that's something that will elevate your grade, allow you to score higher bands, keep using these complex vocabularies and these more colloquial or informal turns of phrase, and you will begin to score higher than band 6 and band 7. And while this is grammatically correct, good vocabulary, there's just really not, you're just not answering the question enough for you to score a higher band. And that's quite a crucial part of the exam. And guys, you have to remember that preparation is the main thing. You have to keep preparing, keep doing past paper questions on speaking. And then you'll find you're able to just talk about any of these different topics, because there's so many different topics for them to pick from. It could be about perfume, reading, emails. Look at the past papers, join the live streams, and then we can talk about some of them, and you'll get some experience of actually talking with people about these kinds of things. So Gulam says, be happy. Gulam, if you want to join the stream, you definitely can. And we can kind of talk a bit about your family life or food, cooking, hobbies, because these questions will come up on your IELTS exam, and you're going to want to make sure you're able to answer back to your examiner. And so, yeah, they could ask you really about any of these things, but as long as you give a kind of quite short, concise, informative answer, then you'll find that you will score higher bands, because part one, it's easier than the other parts. You know, it scales in difficulty. Part two and part three are a bit more complex. So part one is a really good opportunity to pick up some, easier marks than the other sections, and elaborate on your answers, but don't go too much into it. Maybe say an answer to the examiner's question and give one more point, and then you're going to score more high. And yeah, so just be aware that they're going to keep asking you follow-up questions. They're going to keep asking you different things. Make sure you have answers for all of them. But, it will be something general to your experience. Don't talk about things in general. Talk about your actual experience with things. Answer the question really well. Don't just talk about, anything to do with the question. Really try to answer what they're asking you. And also remember to prepare well. Now, guys, I'm going to end the live stream here, and I might do one later today as well. But if anyone's got any more questions, I've just done a quicker one today. But if anyone's got any more questions, or you want to find out more about the speaking part of the exam, then let me know, message the page, and we'll definitely answer your questions as soon as we can. But yeah, part one in your speaking exam, you can pick up some easy marks here. You don't have to worry so much about part two and part three if you can pick up some easy, quick marks right away on part one, by just learning these techniques, being aware of the types of questions you're going to get asked, having other, kind of things you can talk about, giving a little bit more information, but not going overboard. So I know some of you guys are just joining now. So I've just been talking about ways you can quickly improve your mark for your speaking exam, especially part one. Just being aware of the format and the rubric will stand you in really good stead. So guys, I'm going to end the call now, but if anyone's got any further questions about speaking part one, definitely let us know, and we're happy to help, because you should be scoring highly on part one. Part two and part three are the more complex, abstract parts of the exam. With part one, you should find that you're able to, talk about stuff in more of an accurate way. Gulam says, I am a teacher and I teach little children in a school in Pakistan. That's amazing. So we get such a far and wide audience, people from all different places. So Gulam, I was wondering, whereabouts do you live in Pakistan, and what time is it over there? Because I know time zones are completely different depending on where people are. Today, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm very sweaty. It is boiling in the UK. So I'm wondering what kind of weather is it in Pakistan, and is it the same? Because here it is literally boiling. But yeah, guys, if you want to join the call at all and talk, we can do that also. I just wanted to give a quick lesson on how to kind of easily improve your speaking mark. But If you guys want to join the call, we can have a chat. You can practice your speaking as well, because your examiner is going to be someone a lot like me. They're going to be able to ask you questions, quick fire, rapid questions, and you're going to have to answer them. And so I think being aware of the kinds of topics they might talk about is particularly useful. Such as these are the kind of topics that have come up on past papers before. And yeah, so if you kind of have a good understanding of vocab in that area, then I think you'll really put yourself in a strong position. Follow-up questions, answering the question and preparing, that's the most crucial thing for IELTS, I would say. Learning the rubric of the exams. And so guys, I'm going to leave this here now, but if you've got any further questions or if you want to join the live streams, that's great. We'll be doing these from 2 p.m. each day, 2 p.m. UK time. So I'm going to leave this here now, guys, but please let us know if you need any further help. And thank you so much for watching. And the next chat will be tomorrow at 2